both Spanish and general, and also trying to build a little bit the bridge between the different perspectives. So I'll take it there. Well, first of all, thank you for the very kind invitations to the Economist and to the organizers of this fantastic conference. So I came from IE University in Madrid, which is a university that has always been from the beginning at the intersection precisely between innovation, because we have a strong drive on entrepreneurship in our DNA, but also sustainability, which has become transversal to everything we teach, all the disciplines that we cover in the university, and also made us walk the talk by being one of the first carbon neutral universities in Europe. Now, by building this bridge, actually I had 5 points, and the first point was precisely about the topic that we have, which is whether technology and innovation are driving the green transition. I think we need to look at it both ways. This is bidirectional. So it's also the green transition which is driving nowadays innovation and what is driving technology. So I think what we have to do is see these two major transitions and transformations that we need feeding mutually each other. And that brings us to the topic of whether it is the entrepreneurship or whether it is the politics. It goes both ways, and we need to embrace this in a holistic way. The second point I had was more about the urgency, but that has already been covered, and the data has been put by Greg and by the previous panels this morning, so I won't go too much into that. But if you want me to bring the Spanish perspective, I mean, beyond the data that we have, the fact that we should be reducing emissions by 55% by 2030, and we are 6-7 times behind in total, behind that pace that we need. And we are seeing it. We're seeing it in my native Spain, where we are also accustomed to the fires, the droughts, the record temperatures every year that have become the new normal, as you know very well here in Greece. Now, let me maybe focus on the last 3 points, which are the ones that I think maybe may add a little bit more to the discussion. The first one is that when we take policy decisions about how technology and innovation can be driving and can be an ally in terms of fighting climate change and the massive emergency that we face in terms of the environment, we should be looking at key sectors where precisely innovation can be a driver for transformation. And here we have a very clear roadmap, and we know which sectors are, no? And we are seeing also progress in many of these sectors. We see it in energy, which accounts for close to 25% of global emissions, and we have seen amazing progress in terms of transforming the way that we produce energy. Now, we know where the defies are in terms of storage, in terms of efficient grids, etc. We also see this in highly emitting industries, which in the case of the European Union account for close to 20% of the emissions as well. Here, some of the, as the Deputy Minister was saying, there are technologies like the Internet of Things, like data analysis, that can help us improve the integration of these production processes. But also we can be looking at agriculture. Only 1.5% of GDP in Europe, but accounting for more than 10% of our emissions. And here, some of the breakthroughs that you were mentioning, in terms of fertilizers, in terms of protein production with non-animal origin, can be critical, and we need to focus on those. And of course, some of the sectors that were mentioned this morning, transportation, we have seen that revolution in private transportation. Can we see that in other sectors like shipping, like aviation, like heavy roadblock transportation? This is where we need to put the energy. Of course, in building management and construction, that's another key element which accounts for around 20% of the emissions in the European Union, and where there are technologies in terms of the use of materials that can be an ally. Now, let me point, before finalizing, two specific aspects that I think are critical to the discussion. One was mentioned by the Deputy Minister, which is the one of taking into consideration the side effect. That sometimes we might be, in terms of producing these technologies, in terms of managing these technologies, we might be consuming more than we are. Now, sometimes that is an investment that we have to do in terms of develop and bringing up this technology to pace, But we should be aware of that, and of course of issues that are familiar to the audience, like the toxic waste that might be produced or the non-recyclable waste that is produced through these technologies. And then the very final point, and I know I'm short with time, but it's something that also came up this morning. This is about global cooperation. We are in this together. And the reality is that we are seeing a return to politics with a big P, vis-a-vis economics. You in the Economist, you have coined the term homeland economics. And the reality is that these industrial policies, they are allies in this green transition, but very often they don't follow necessarily a logic of effectiveness and a logic of being in this together. They more and more, they follow a logic of geopolitical competition, which actually can be very detrimental to our objective of facing this crisis, which is borderless. So actually, our cooperation in terms of research, in terms of global governance mechanisms, in terms of standards, should and can only be global.